Questions. Let me start with a simple question. If a woman is walking alone, does it mean she is lost? If a woman is sitting alone, does it mean she is lonely? Questions. And if a woman is living without a life partner, does it mean her life is incomplete? Suppose we live in a society where the first question asked to a woman is not, "What are your dreams?" but questions. When are you getting married? Not how is your heart, but why are you still single? And today, questions. I want to talk about a woman without her life partner, not with sympathy, but with strength, clarity, and dignity. Society has a formula for happiness. Questions. Education, pliff job, club, marriage to successful life. But life doesn't work on formulas. Life works on purpose. I have seen married women who feel alone. And I have seen single women who feel complete. Questions. Because loneliness is not about absence of people, it is about absence of connection. A woman without a life partner is not missing something. She may simply be building something. Once, questions. A woman came to a spiritual teacher and said, "Everyone keeps asking me why I am alone." The teacher pointed to an empty chair and said, "Questions. Sit here and imagine society is sitting on that chair." She did. He asked, "Now tell them, what do you feel?" She paused and said, "I feel peaceful. I feel free." Questions. "I feel myself." And that day she realized the problem was never her life. The problem was people's expectations living rent-free in her mind. Let us be very clear. Questions. Marriage is not a medicine for emptiness. Marriage is not a solution to fear. Marriage is not a stamp of validation. If you are broken alone, questions. You don't become whole by marriage. You just become broken together. A woman does not need a partner to complete her. She needs a partner to complement her. And there is a big difference. Questions. Some women express strength by nurturing a family. Some express strength by building careers. Some express strength by healing themselves. Questions. And some women walk alone for a while because they refuse to settle for half love, half respect, half presence. Choosing solitude over suffering is not weakness. It is self-respect. Society says, questions. Your time is running out, but time is not running out. Fear is running the conversation. A woman's worth does not decrease with age. Milk expires. Wine matures. Questions. A woman without a life partner is not late. She is on her own timeline. Loneliness comes when you abandon yourself, not when someone else leaves. Questions. Some women sleep next to someone and still cry silently at night. Some women sleep alone and wake up with peace. So don't ask a woman, "Why are you alone?" Ask her, questions. Are you happy with who you are becoming? When a woman chooses herself, people call her selfish. But tell me, how can a woman pour love into others when her own cup is empty? Questions. A woman without a life partner often learns how to listen to her intuition, how to stand up for herself, how to enjoy her own company, and that makes her dangerous. Not to society, questions, but to limitations. The goal is not marriage. The goal is peace. If a relationship costs your mental health, your self-respect, your voice, then being single is not a loss. It is protection. Questions. A woman without life partner is not waiting desperately. She is waiting wisely. A woman is not just to a wife or someone waiting to be a wife. She is, questions. A thinker, a dreamer, a creator, a soul on a journey. Her life is a book, not a chapter. And marriage, if it happens, should be a beautiful paragraph, not the title of the book. One day, questions. The right partner may come. Or maybe life gives a different path. But remember this, a woman without her life partner is not incomplete. She is becoming. Questions. And anyone who enters her life should not save her. They should walk beside her. Questions. From the time a girl learns to walk, society quietly starts teaching her how to wait. Wait to grow up, wait to behave, wait to adjust, and eventually, wait to get married. Somewhere along the way, questions. Marriage is presented not as a choice but as a finish line, as if the moment a woman gets married, a stamp is placed on her life saying, approved, valid, questions, successful. And if that stamp is missing, people begin to look at her life as if something is incomplete. But let us pause for a moment and ask an honest question. Questions. Does a ring on the finger suddenly increase a woman's value, or was that value always there? Think of a daily life example. Imagine a woman who wakes up early, prepares her own breakfast, questions, rushes to work, manages deadlines, supports her parents, pays her bills, helps her friends, and still finds time to smile. Now imagine another woman who does all of this, questions, but also happens to be married. Are their efforts different? Is one woman breathing with more meaning than the other? Or is it just that society claps louder for the one who fits into a familiar box? Questions. Marriage is a relationship status, not a character certificate. It does not magically make someone kind, wise, strong, or successful. We all know examples around us. Questions. We have seen married people who lie, cheat, and break hearts. And we have seen unmarried women who are honest, compassionate, and emotionally mature. Yet, strangely, questions. Society still assumes that marriage upgrades a woman's worth. This is not logic, this is conditioning. A woman's worth is like the sun. It does not shine brighter because someone notices it, questions, and it does not lose its light because someone ignores it. It simply exists. Whether clouds come or go, the sun remains the sun. In the same way, whether a woman has a life partner or not, questions, her worth remains untouched. It is not something to be given by a husband, in-laws, or society. It is something she carries by virtue of being herself. Look at everyday conversations. Questions. When a man is single, people say he is focusing on his career. When a woman is single, people whisper something must be wrong. Same situation, different judgment. Questions. This double standard has nothing to do with reality and everything to do with outdated thinking. A woman can be single because she values peace, because she is healing, questions, because she knows her worth too well to settle for less, or simply because life has not yet brought the right person, and that is okay. There is a woman in every neighborhood who is quietly strong. Questions. She may be unmarried or widowed or divorced. She manages her life with dignity, yet every family function becomes a reminder of what society thinks she lacks. Questions. People don't ask her about her achievements, they ask her about her marital status. And still, she shows up with grace. That itself is proof of her worth. Questions. A weak person would break under constant judgment. A strong woman learns to stand taller. Marriage can add joy to life, but it should never become the price of respect. Questions. If respect comes only after marriage, then that respect is shallow. True respect comes from character, not companionship. A woman who is honest in her work, kind in her actions, questions, and strong in her values deserves respect on Monday morning in her office, just as much as she does at a wedding ceremony. Questions. Many women stay in unhappy marriages because they are afraid of being labeled failed. But what is failure? Is it leaving a relationship that drains your soul? Questions. Or is it living every day pretending to be happy while dying inside? A woman's worth does not decrease because a relationship ended. Sometimes it increases because she chose courage over comfort. Questions. Let us normalize this truth. Marriage is a part of life, not the definition of life. A woman is a complete human being before marriage, during marriage, and even without marriage. Her laughter, questions, her intelligence, her kindness, her dreams, none of these wait for a husband to arrive. When a woman understands this deeply, something changes. She stops chasing validation. Questions. She stops explaining her choices. She walks with a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am. And that confidence is far more attractive than any title society can give her. Questions. So the next time you see a woman without a life partner, don't see absence, see courage, see independence, see a full life being lived in its own rhythm. Questions. Because a woman's worth was never meant to be measured by her relationship status. It was always meant to be measured by the depth of her character and the honesty of her life. Questions. We often use the words alone and lonely as if they mean the same thing, but in real life they are completely different experiences. Alone is a situation. Lonely is a feeling. Questions. One is about how many people are around you, and the other is about how connected you feel inside. Yet, in our daily conversations, especially when it comes to women questions, we mix these two up so easily that we end up judging a life we do not fully understand. Look around you. In buses, offices, cafes, and homes, you will find people sitting alone. Questions. Scrolling through their phones, smiling at their coffee, enjoying a quiet moment. Are they lonely? Not necessarily. Many of them are simply comfortable with their own company. Questions. They have learned to sit with their thoughts without fear. On the other hand, there are people sitting in crowded rooms, surrounded by family, friends, and even a life partner. Questions. Yet feeling an emptiness they cannot explain. That is loneliness. A woman living without a life partner is often assumed to be lonely. But let us look at daily life more honestly. Questions. A woman who comes home after work, makes her dinner, watches her favorite show, reads a book, or simply sits in silence with a cup of tea. She is alone, yes, but she may be at peace. Questions. Now think of another woman who comes home to constant arguments, emotional neglect, or silent treatment. She is not alone, yet she feels invisible. Which of these two is truly lonely? Questions. Loneliness comes when you are not understood, when your emotions have no safe place to land. It comes when you cannot be yourself, even in the presence of others. Questions. Many women have shared that they felt lonelier after getting married than they ever felt when they were single. Because earlier, they were alone by choice, but later, questions. They were emotionally abandoned despite having company. Being alone when chosen consciously can be powerful. It gives you space to hear your own thoughts. It allows you to understand your likes, questions, dislikes, fears, and dreams. A woman who spends time alone often learns how to self-soothe, how to motivate herself, and how to enjoy life without constant external approval. Questions. She learns that silence is not empty, it is full of answers. In daily life, we see this in small things. A woman who travels alone for the first time may feel scared initially, but after a while, questions. She discovers confidence she never knew she had. She learns to ask for help, to trust herself, and to enjoy her own presence. That is not loneliness. That is growth. Questions. Loneliness would be if she were traveling with someone who made her feel small, unheard, or unsafe. Loneliness is not cured by marriage, friendship, or social gatherings. It is cured by connection. Questions. And connection begins within. If a woman does not feel connected to herself, no relationship can fix that. But if she feels at home within her own heart, questions. Even moments of solitude feel comforting rather than painful. Society often scares women by saying, "Don't stay alone for too long, you will become lonely." But the truth is, questions. Staying in the wrong company is far more damaging than being alone. Wrong company teaches you to doubt yourself. It makes you feel unworthy of love. It drains your energy slowly, questions, until you forget who you were. Being alone, on the other hand, often helps you rebuild. Think of a woman who has gone through heartbreak. Initially, being alone hurts. The silence feels heavy. Questions. But gradually, that same silence becomes healing. She starts sleeping better. She starts laughing again. Questions. She starts rediscovering parts of herself that were lost while trying to keep someone else happy. Questions. That transformation is only possible when she allows herself to be alone without labeling it as loneliness. Loneliness feels like a constant hunger. No matter how many people are around, questions, something feels missing. Being alone feels like calm. It may feel unfamiliar at first, but it does not feel desperate. Questions. A woman who understands this difference stops rushing into relationships just to avoid being alone. She becomes patient. She waits for connections that feel safe, respectful, and real. Questions. When we stop equating aloneness with loneliness, we free women from unnecessary fear. We allow them to choose relationships from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. Questions. A woman who is comfortable being alone does not beg for attention. She does not tolerate disrespect. She knows that her own company is better than any company that makes her feel unseen. Questions. So the next time you see a woman alone, do not assume she is lonely. She may simply be enjoying a rare moment of peace in a noisy world. And that, in today's life, is not something to pity. Questions. It is something to respect. Questions. Many people grow up believing that marriage is the answer to life's problems. If you are unhappy, they say, get married. If you feel lonely, they say, get married. If you are confused about life, questions, they say, get married. Slowly, marriage starts sounding less like a relationship and more like a universal medicine. One pill that will fix everything. But real life does not work that way. Questions. Marriage is not a solution to inner struggles. It is a partnership between two already complete individuals. Look at daily life around you. Think of a woman who feels unsure of herself. Questions. Constantly seeking approval, afraid of being alone. If she enters marriage with this emptiness, will marriage suddenly give her confidence? Or will she begin depending on her partner for validation? Questions. Most of the time, the second happens. Marriage does not erase insecurities. It often magnifies them. Whatever you carry inside, you carry into marriage as well. A partnership means walking together. Questions. Not leaning on someone so heavily that both fall. In healthy marriages, two people support each other, but they do not replace each other's sense of self. Questions. A woman should not have to lose her voice to gain a relationship. If marriage demands silence in exchange for security, then it is not a partnership. It is a compromise of identity. Questions. We have all seen examples where people rush into marriage thinking it will bring happiness, only to realize later that happiness was never guaranteed. Questions. There are couples who sit at the same dining table every night but live in completely different emotional worlds. They share a house but not their hearts. Marriage did not solve their problems. Questions. It only gave those problems a shared address. On the other hand, when marriage is treated as a partnership, it becomes something beautiful. Two people choose each other not out of fear, questions, but out of respect. They don't expect the other person to fix their life. Instead, they say, my life is meaningful and I want to share it with you. That intention changes everything. Questions. A woman should never enter marriage thinking, this will save me. Save her from what? From society's judgment, from loneliness, from pressure. When marriage becomes an escape, questions, it turns into a cage. But when marriage becomes a choice, it turns into a space of growth. In daily life, this difference is very visible. Questions. A woman who sees marriage as a solution often tolerates behavior she shouldn't. Disrespect, emotional neglect, lack of support, because she fears losing the relationship. Questions. She believes that being married, even unhappily, is better than being single. Slowly, she shrinks herself to keep the marriage intact. That is not partnership, that is survival. Questions. A true partnership allows both people to grow. It encourages dreams, not suppresses them. If a woman wants to study further, work, travel, or simply rest, a partner supports that. Questions, not questions her worth. In a partnership, there is teamwork. Problems are faced together, not blamed on one person. Marriage also cannot heal unhealed wounds. If someone carries unresolved anger, questions, trauma, or insecurity, marriage does not magically erase it. In fact, close relationships often bring those wounds to the surface. Questions. That is why self-awareness and emotional maturity are so important before marriage. Two wounded people do not heal each other by getting married. They often end up hurting each other more. Questions. This is why being single for a while can be healthy. It allows a woman to understand herself, to heal, to become emotionally strong. Then, if she chooses marriage, questions. She chooses it not because she needs it, but because she wants it, and that makes all the difference. Need creates dependence. Want creates partnership. Questions. We should also stop teaching women that marriage is the biggest achievement of their life. Achievements are personal. For some, it may be building a family. For others, it may be building confidence, questions, independence, or peace. Marriage should fit into a woman's life, not replace her life. When marriage is treated as a partnership, expectations become realistic. No one expects perfection. Questions. Both people accept that life will have ups and downs. They communicate, adjust, and grow together. They do not look at each other as problem solvers, but as companions on a journey. Questions. So let us change the narrative. Marriage is not a destination where all problems end. It is a road where two people walk together. If you are lost before marriage, questions. You may still feel lost after marriage. But if you know who you are, marriage can become a beautiful extension of your life, not a solution to fix it. A woman deserves a partner who walks beside her. Questions. Not one she must cling to for survival. And when marriage becomes a partnership rather than a solution, it stops being a burden and starts becoming a blessing. Questions. From a very young age, many women are taught a silent lesson: be liked, be accepted, don't upset anyone. Slowly, social approval starts feeling like oxygen. Compliments feel like validation. Questions. And criticism feels like failure. Over time, this need to be approved by everyone becomes so strong that self-respect quietly takes a back seat. And that is where the real struggle begins. Questions. Social approval is loud. It comes with opinions, advice, comparisons, and constant commentary. People tell you how you should live, whom you should marry, when you should settle down. Questions. And what choices are right for you. Self-respect, on the other hand, is quiet. It does not shout. It gently asks one question: does this feel right to me? The problem is questions. In the noise of society, many women stop listening to that inner voice. Look at daily life. A woman may say yes to a marriage proposal even when her heart is unsure, simply because relatives say questions. This is a good match, or what will people say if you refuse? She may stay silent when disrespected because she fears being labeled difficult or egoistic. Outwardly, everything looks fine. Questions. Inwardly, something breaks a little every day. That breaking is the cost of choosing approval over self-respect. Self-respect means honoring your feelings even when others don't understand them. Questions. It means saying no without guilt. It means walking away from situations that harm your dignity, even if staying would earn praise. A woman with self-respect may be misunderstood, judged, questions, or even criticized, but she sleeps peacefully at night. A woman chasing approval may receive smiles during the day, but carries restlessness in her heart. There is a common scene in many families. Questions. A woman is expected to adjust her dreams, her comfort, her boundaries. When she adjusts, she is called good. When she speaks up, she is called selfish. Slowly, questions. She learns that being respected by society often requires disrespecting herself. But that respect is fragile. The same society that praises her today will criticize her tomorrow. Approval is temporary. Questions. Self-respect is permanent. Think of a woman who leaves a toxic relationship. People ask her uncomfortable questions. Some blame her. Some advise her to compromise more. But every morning, questions. When she looks at herself in the mirror, she sees honesty in her eyes. That feeling cannot be replaced by any social validation. She chose her mental health over people's opinions. Questions. That is self-respect in action. In daily life, self-respect shows up in small decisions. Not laughing at jokes that insult you. Not tolerating constant emotional neglect. Questions. Not shrinking your personality to make others comfortable. These choices may not earn applause, but they build inner strength. Over time, a woman who chooses self-respect Respect becomes emotionally grounded. Questions. She no longer needs everyone to agree with her to feel secure. Social approval often demands performance. You have to act a certain way, dress a certain way, live a certain life. Questions. Self-respect demands authenticity. You get to be real even if that means being different. And being different is often uncomfortable in the beginning, but incredibly liberating in the long run. Questions. Many women fear that choosing self-respect will lead to loneliness. But what is lonelier, being alone or being surrounded by people who don't see the real you? When you constantly live for approval, questions, you are never fully present. You are always performing, adjusting, explaining. Self-respect removes that burden. It allows you to exhale. Questions. A woman who values self-respect does not beg for love or attention. She knows that love given out of fear is not love, it is attachment. She would rather wait than settle. Questions. She would rather stand alone than bend in ways that break her spirit. That choice may not look glamorous to society, but it feels deeply right to her. Over time, something interesting happens. Questions. When a woman consistently chooses self-respect, people start treating her differently. Not everyone will like her, but those who stay will respect her. Boundaries create clarity. Questions. And clarity attracts healthier relationships, friendships, partnerships, and even professional respect. Social approval changes with trends, opinions, and convenience. Questions. What is admired today may be criticized tomorrow, but self-respect is steady. It grows stronger with every honest choice. It becomes a compass that guides a woman through confusion, pressure, and fear. Questions. At the end of the day, no crowd follows you into your quiet moments. No opinion sits with you when you feel low. Only your relationship with yourself remains. Questions. And that relationship is shaped by one simple decision, repeated every day: will I choose what pleases others or what honors me? A woman who chooses self-respect may walk a harder path at first. Questions. But she walks it with her head held high. Because deep down she knows something powerful. Approval can be taken away, but self-respect, once built, becomes unshakable. Questions. One of the quiet fears planted in many women's hearts is the fear of time. Not time as a clock on the wall, but time as a judgment. Somewhere along the way, questions. Society teaches women that their value has an expiry date, that if certain milestones are not achieved by a certain age, something has gone wrong. Questions. This belief is repeated so often that it starts sounding like truth. But repetition does not make a lie true. Time does not reduce a woman's value, it reveals it. Look at daily life. Questions. A young girl is praised for her beauty. A slightly older woman is praised for her patience. An even older woman is praised for her wisdom. At every stage, something is gained. Questions. Yet society focuses only on what is supposedly lost. Why? Because it is easier to control people who fear time than those who understand it. Questions. We don't say a book becomes useless because we are on the last chapter. In fact, the deeper chapters often carry the most meaning. A woman's life is the same. With time, she gains experiences, questions, lessons, emotional strength, and clarity. She understands herself better. She knows what she will not tolerate. That is not decline, that is evolution. In everyday conversations, questions, people casually say things like, your time is running out, or you are not getting younger. These words may sound harmless, but they carry pressure. Questions. They push women to make decisions out of fear rather than understanding. Fear-based decisions rarely lead to happiness. Questions. A woman rushed into choices she is not ready for may meet society's timeline but lose her own peace. Think of fruit. Raw fruit may look attractive, but ripe fruit has sweetness. Questions. Overripe fruit may spoil, but ripeness is not the problem, neglect is. In the same way, a woman does not lose value with time. She only suffers when she is forced into roles that do not suit her. Questions. At stages she is not ready for. There are women who marry early and struggle to understand themselves. There are women who marry later and build beautiful, balanced lives. Questions. There are women who never marry and still live fulfilled, meaningful lives. Time did not decide their worth. Their choices, courage, and awareness did. We celebrate men for growing older. Questions. We call them experienced, mature, seasoned. For women, aging is often spoken about in whispers, as if it is something to hide. But why should growth be hidden? Why should wisdom be feared? Questions. A woman who has lived, loved, failed, healed, and grown carries a depth that cannot be taught in any classroom. In daily life, you will notice this clearly. Questions. A woman in her 20s may doubt herself often. A woman in her 30s begins to set boundaries. A woman in her 40s stops explaining herself. A woman in her 50s carries calm strength. Questions. Each phase brings something powerful. If time were reducing her value, she would become weaker. But she becomes stronger. The fear of time often comes from comparison. Social media timelines. Questions. Relatives' questions and societal expectations create an artificial race. But life is not a competition. There is no prize for finishing early. A woman's journey is personal. Questions. Comparing it to others only creates unnecessary pressure. There is also a deep misunderstanding that a woman's value is linked to her ability to please others. Visually, emotionally, socially. Questions. As time passes and priorities change, this illusion breaks. A woman begins to ask, "What do I want?" That question itself is proof of growth. Questions. When a woman starts valuing herself beyond external validation, she becomes truly powerful. Time also brings healing. Wounds that once felt unbearable begin to soften. Questions. Lessons that were painful become wisdom. A woman who has taken time to heal before choosing a relationship brings emotional stability into that relationship. That stability is priceless. Questions. Rushing into life without healing often leads to repeating the same pain. In daily life, we admire old trees more than young saplings. Why? Because they have stood through storms. Their roots are deep. Questions. A woman who has lived through challenges carries that same grounded energy. She may not be easily impressed, but she is deeply present. She does not love blindly, but she loves honestly. The truth is, questions. Time only threatens those who see women as products, not people. Products expire, people grow. A woman is not a commodity to be displayed at a certain age. She is a living, evolving human being. Questions. When a woman stops fearing time, something beautiful happens. She stops rushing, she stops settling. She stops apologizing for where she is in life. Questions. She starts making choices that align with her values, not society's deadlines. At the end of life, no one asks, "Did you do everything on time?" They ask questions. Did you live truthfully? Time will pass whether we fear it or not. The question is, will we let it shape us with wisdom or scare us into silence? Questions. A woman's value is not measured by the calendar. It is measured by the courage with which she lives, the kindness she offers, and the integrity she holds. Time does not take these away. Question. Time deepens them.